With my 3 years of experience, these are the biggest regrets that home buyers make before they buy a home. So I'm gonna make this video with all my experience that you make sure to not make these regrets, or you're gonna be missing out on a lot of money and you're gonna be overpaying for a property. So watch to the end of this video. What's going on, guys? My name is Cody, realtor with eXp Realty, and in today's video, these are the biggest regrets that home buyers always make. So without further ado, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share the video if you want more informational videos like these. And also be sure to check out my social medias, my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I post daily realtor vlogs and me trying to make multi 6 figures a month as a 20-year-old realtor. And if you need a buyer's agent who's going to make sure that you don't make these mistakes and actually make sure you're on track to buy your first property or buy your next property, be sure to contact me down in the description below. But hey, let's not waste no more time. Let's jump right into the biggest regrets. Number one, I always suggest, or not suggest, will always tell first-time home buyers or any home buyers in general, always get pre-approved. Now, walking in a house without a pre-approval letter is like wasting it's like walking into a building with no money. Literally walking into a store with no money. And, just walking into the house with no pre-approval letters, not only you're telling the agent that you're going to waste your time, but you don't even know what you could be approved for. So you may be walking into a house that you probably cannot afford. So the number one thing is, before I even decide to work with buyers, is always get pre-approved. That's not to say that you may have cash, you may be a cash buyer, but ultimately you still want to get approved by a lender to make sure that you can write a cash offer, or maybe get approved for something that you can't afford. So remember, if you're not approved, you're going to be wasting a lot of time, not only your time, but the agent's time. Number two, something I see happen a lot, not with my clients, but something I see that's happened a lot with a lot of storytelling from other agents, and that's overpaying for a home. Guys, I'm pretty sure you've seen it a lot. You've seen a lot of buyers get into a bidding war of some type of high demand property, which I'm saying, like, bidding wars are not bad, but if you're a buyer who is not looking to do all that, you may want to stay away from those. But I've seen buyers who are literally overpaying for a property, this meaning that them not doing their homework. And, for example, if they are, overpaying for a listing that's literally comparable to other listings that are in the area, there's like, what, about 20 to 30,000 less than what they're asking for, then you may be overpaying for a property, or, for something that the listing agent could be literally robbing you for money. But it kind of depends. It kind of varies, because the demand for that area might be wanting to get the listing that is about 20 to 30,000 over asking price. Now, this is not to say if the property is newly listed or a property that has a lot of offers on it. But if you clearly see a property that is clearly overpriced, don't bother making an offer on it. It's just that simple. I've seen buyers make an offer on a very overpriced property, and on top of that, they didn't have any bidding wars. They didn't have any more offers. It's just either somebody really likes the property and wants, higher demand, or a buyer just not doing their regular research, which in the long run, you could be missing out on savings on thousands of dollars. Number three, this is a very common one with first-time home buyers, and that is ignoring the home inspections. I've seen a lot of first-time home buyers really, skip out on the home inspection because, one, they don't want to spend any more money or spend on the inspection. I'm gonna tell you this. I made a lot of videos about, first-time home buyers mistakes. I made a lot of videos about home buyers and what they should do, and this is a very important key, because for one, you have to get a home inspection. You never know what's wrong with the property. I've had, buyer, like, literally, I'm working with an investor right now, and we were offering on this one property, on this one invest property. It looks perfectly fine. It looks like it's in great condition. But if they did not get this one home inspection, they did not know that it needed foundation issues. There was a lot of foundation issues to the property. There was a lot of small tweaks to the property that can really affect the value in the long run. And on top of it, not affecting the value in the long run much more, but on top of that, costing the buyer a lot of money in the long run too. Like the HVAC system, the roof, all these things are costing $10,000 on up. Just because you didn't get an inspection, you're going to be losing on a lot of money potential, and a lot of money that's going to be coming out of your pocket. Number four, this is another big reason for first-time homebuyers, and it's not considering the long game. You start building equity in a property between 2 to 3 years. And that's something important for first-time homebuyers, especially if you're coming from renting. And a little quick backstory about renting versus buying. Whenever you're renting, you're paying off the landlord's mortgage. You're basically building their portfolio. You're building their wealth. You're not building no wealth when you're renting, but when you're buying, you actually build wealth. And when you start building equity, is start to see return in about 2 to 3 years. That's on average. But considering this topic, a lot of buyers would literally buy a home and start to make a move within a year. It may be an important move. They may not like the community they're in. But if you're just a buyer and you just want to make moves on in, you're not going to be making that much money out of the property. You need to be sitting in that property for about the 2 to 3 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years if you want to see real equity come out of your property. But overall, in this section, play the long game. If you're playing the game of just, wanting to move here and move out, it's not going to work. And especially if you're looking to build money out of your asset, which is your biggest asset, which is your property, you need to wait and play the long game. If you really want to see a return on investment from your properties, especially for investors, especially impatient investors, they really need to really dive deep into this one topic. You need to play the long game. So don't buy a home just for the short term. When you buy a home, buy it for the long term, because you will have significantly regrets if you decide to just live in a property about a year or less. Now, if it's not an important reason, go ahead. You need to do what you need to do. But if it's not important, it may not be a good idea. And lastly, number 5, which is a lot of home buyer regrets, is not doing enough research on a neighborhood. I've worked with a lot of relocating buyers, and some buyers, they don't even do the exact research that they need to do to see where they're moving into. For example, Heights and Hillcrest. I always talk about the community. Their average home price is about $200,000 to $300,000. I have a listing that's in the area, 605 South Oak Street. We're listed at 298. That's literally right across the street, seconds from UAMS. And UAMS is a medical university. This is why the home has worked. Some home buyers will come and come to me, be like, "Hey Cody, what's the neighborhood analytics? What's around the area?" Of course, I will happily answer those questions, but usually as a relocating home buyer or a first-time home buyer, you should already doing research yourself, and you'll be surprised at how many people don't necessarily do that research. Overall, what I'm saying is, you need to do your research on where you're staying at, because you may not even like where you're staying at. It may be, the crime rate would be up in that area. You may not like the schools. You may not like the equity that's just going to be building in the long term. You may not be making a lot of money. You may not like the area in general. So what I can say for this last segment, do your research. A lot of home buyers don't do their research. They will either come to realtors, or they would, go go to some place and just, go off word of mouth, which is okay. But, it just makes our jobs a lot easier if you already know what you're talking about. You come with a pre-approval letter. You know what you're doing. You know the real estate game. It just makes our job much easier, and us realtors, we greatly appreciate that. So that's the last point, which is figure out where you are staying at and always do your research. And without further ado, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short video on the biggest regrets home buyers always make. Again, be sure to subscribe, like the video, share if you want more informational videos like these. Be sure to follow all my social medias. And if you need a realtor who's going to help you make these decisions better and is going to keep you accountable and get you to the right home, contact me down in the description below. Without further ado, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Let's get it.